As we approach All Souls Day and All Saints Day, I was thinking of a letter I had received from someone thanking me and our parish family for helping them through a time of terrific loss. And in the letter, it confided that he was having this intense feeling, these intense feelings that were sometimes immediately right after each other, feeling from blessed to have such a beautiful gift of being loved in their life, to the devastation of feeling like this love of his life had been snatched right out of his grasp. And I thought, how real and how raw is the range of a human emotion. And so I was thinking about these things that I've talked about before, the two things in the note. One is that such a beautiful gift. The other is that how devastated that somebody can feel when a loved one is taken away, as he said, like snatched away. So I was thinking in terms of All Souls Day, in what we do at All Souls Day, and how All Souls Day speaks of this human emotion, the range of human emotions, and particularly that love that could temper both of those experiences. So the first thing I would say is that there's no better gift than knowing that you're loved. Knowing that you're loved, not being loved. That's fantastic. People are loved all the time, and sometimes they're loved without understanding or appreciating it because of their own stuff. They're busy. The psychological issues, the spiritual issues, or maybe even the physical issues. But being loved is good. But knowing that you're loved is great. And knowing you're loved unconditionally is even better. It is the best. But being loved unconditionally, that's not natural. Natural love seems to have within it an economy. To being loved unconditionally is a supernatural love. And knowing that you're loved unconditionally is a supernatural gift. It's precisely a gift from God. And we know that love, and we name that love, and the name is Jesus. And so God uses Jesus for us to be the sacrament of His love, the encounter of His love, the manifestation of this unconditional love. And then God, in that one time in history, used Jesus. But in our day and in our way, God uses people in our lives. And by their presence, they make God present because they love us like God intended. They love us with this real love, this God-like love, this Jesus love. And so they make the God who is love real to us. They make Christ real to us. And they are signs to us. They are sacraments to us. And that God uses. And He uses an ordinary gift of a man or a woman, of a husband and wife, of a father or a mother, of a friend or companion, or a brother or sister. And he puts them in our lives. And when we experience their love and we know that we're loved, we can do incredible things. So He uses this gift of the ordinary to communicate the extraordinary so that we can do some extraordinary things. This selfless love motivates us to do selfless things. We reciprocate. The love that's measured out to us, we measure out to others. And certainly expand the economy of grace that is in natural human relations. And we start to reflect that which is divine. And so sometimes when this loss happens and we feel like we're separated from our loved ones, we might feel separated from the love of God. If you have any question about that, as I say to our congregation consistently, please read Paul's letter to the Romans. I can't recommend it highly enough. His chapter 8 in the letter to the Romans, that what can separate us from the love of God? Not that God's not going to condemn us. Jesus Christ came to save us. He's going to be the advocate for us. And then He goes and lists all the various things that would seem to be able to separate us, and we know that they can't. But we feel it. We might know it on an intellectual level, but sometimes we feel that separation. So there are a couple things that I think help. The first is to remember the blessing of knowing that you're loved. If you've been loved like that, selflessly, with a firm knowledge, in good times and in bad, in sickness and in health, if you've been loved like that, you need to thank God. You need to thank God, because that is not something that everyone enjoys. It's not just a privilege, it is a huge gift. And so sometimes when that's taken from us, we feel the loss in a very profound way. And I remember somebody counseling a family had lost a child, and they said, would you wish perhaps that maybe they had never been born? You know, if they'd never been born, then you would never have had to lose them. And they're like, oh, no way. Oh, no way. So sometimes in our own relationships, this might not be a bad question to ask. You know, would I rather have loved and lost than maybe never have loved at all? You know, how that kind of plays out. It's very hard, especially whenever we encounter innocent suffering and the loss of a loved one, particularly the loss of a child. But you could ask yourself, would I rather have that person never been born, that I would never have lost them? Well, sometimes in self-pity, we might say, I wish I had never been born, that I wouldn't have had to experience this loss. But I think the truly loving friend, the loving partner, the companion, the parent would be, what they tend to say is, no, I wish I could take their place, could have taken their place. That's the kind of love that we're talking about. So if you've been loved like that, if you've experienced that love, what I suggest in a period of loss is gratitude. I think that only two things really temper grief. One of them is gratitude, to remember the blessing that you've enjoyed. And then time is the other thing. Not at first, but with time, there comes some healing. Sometimes when a loss happens, and when the losses are very fresh, we do like that individual feel like they've been snatched right out of our hand, you know, right out of our lives, just removed from us. And that is particularly a difficult kind of grief. But you know, one of the funeral readings that we often use is that the souls of the just are in the hand of God. And I think that should be a consolation to us, that they're not snatched from our hand, but rather they're placed in the hand of God. And it says the souls of the just are in the hand of God, and no torment shall touch them. You know, and so we believe that word from the Old Testament, and we have a hope and a confidence with that because of the gospel, where Jesus, everyone that has been given to Jesus by God the Father, he says he will not reject. He says the Father gives them, and nothing can snatch them out of his grasp. And so what I think we have to do is even kind of physically change our perspective, our point of view when it comes to this kind of grief. Is, you know, if they snatched out of our hand, or maybe in kind of an open hand, we make an offering of that life, of the beauty of that gift of friendship, the beauty of that gift of love, the sacrifice of selfish love, of selfless love, that we offer that to God. So they're not snatched out of our hand, but rather we give them back into the embrace of the Lord who made them, the Father of all life, human and divine. And we know that those souls of the just are in his hand, in the embrace of Jesus Christ. And so when we experience that loss, you know, we have this hole, this openness, that grasp that's gone. I suggest that we kind of make an offering of that, even of the heartache. You know, the heartache that you experience with loss, that's kind of a sacred space. And but you realize that it was once filled, and that it can be filled again, because we have a hope. Unlike those people who don't have a hope, we have a very concrete hope that we will be with them again. And as sad as it is to say goodbye to them, we know that will pale in comparison to the joy of being together. that hole in our heart will be filled again. And that sacred space that we keep for them, we know that we'll be joined to them in the communion of saints. I don't know that I would say it's easy. I don't know that gratitude and time are going to be a picnic for anybody that's experienced that loss. But when you've been blessed and you've had the privilege of being loved, it changes your perspective. And you realize that you didn't know that you could love as much or as hard or as long because of a particular individual. And when we know that love can stretch our capacity to love others. When we know that we're loved, then we can stretch our capacity to love others. And we believe that grief can stretch us. And it stretches us to the point of just surrendering and offering that loss with accompanied with that hope, with gratitude and with time, that we will love again. And that love will not just be for a long time, it'll be forever. So to approach it with not that it's been snatched from us, but we offer that back to God who's given it to us in the first place. It's really about gift. And that even in sorrow can help us appreciate a gift that was really never ours to own, but something just to enjoy in the time that we had together. So for all the souls that have gone before us, we feel this closeness, and particularly around All Souls Day, we remember their names on the altar. And I'd like to read those names. We put them in a gold box on the altar, and sometimes it's just heartwarming and beautiful to see the names of people that I remember from my now 20 years here, and consider them not just the souls of the departed, but I believe saints of God. That's what we're called to be. And brothers and sisters in the Lord, and beloved of God and called to holiness. And for all those that God has called before us in faith, we say their good works go with them, and we miss them, and we know in faith and hope we'll see them again. May all the souls of the faithful departed, through the mercy of God, rest in peace. Amen.